Welcome to the Dollars and Cents podcast and radio show, coming to you from the Wave Beach Realty Studio. The holidays are almost here, so it's time to get your financial picture wrapped up so you can have a great Christmas and a happy new year. Reach out to me at coachwestc@gmail.com to get some financial coaching.
Hey guys, don't forget we go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. on 94.5 as well as 106.7, or you can stream us live at talkradiomb.com.
This segment is sponsored by Wave Beach Realty, 843-957-3872.
All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast.
This is and I've kind of redone this, and this would be season, I need to write this down for us, but season 2.
Yep.
So that way we know we started the podcast series, and this will be the 4th episode.
Fourth episode, yep. We've got 2, as of recording this, we have 2 of the episodes actually live with video where you can see them on YouTube, but you've got all the
I've got all 3 from
on
last week with video and with audio, just separate files.
Yeah.
You can watch the video or you can just throw up the audio.
Yeah, and you've got all those on Spotify.
And Apple.
And I will make that one last episode 3 live today on YouTube as well, so people can watch us on any of them.
And I do not have the Faith one up yet. Those of you waiting on the Faith one to be on video, we'll have that up here soon.
We're waiting on that one. We'll get that one rolling. That one should probably get a lot of activity. People tend to like that.
Cool. So what are we talking about today?
Oh, we're talking about the Trump appointees. And
Wait a minute. We said we were going to talk politics this week.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well,
it's too much stuff.
I feel like these appointees are pretty important. I think a lot of people want to hear about the cabinet more than they want to hear about Trump at this point, because who you surround yourself with is almost as important.
Is it just me, or are we seeing a Trump that is not holding on to as much control as he did the first time?
It seems that way. I mean,
these people around him are very powerful and alpha. They're alpha males.
Well, I would say that the first time it wasn't even that he was trying to hold on to control as much as it was he realized when he got in he wasn't prepared and didn't have the right people around him, so he almost probably felt like he had to keep control and start firing people, and it was just a mess. But he made the best of it given all the circumstances. But this time he's planning it out carefully. He's going to have his whole cabinet picked before he gets in there clearly, and so far he's got a nice little bunch of.
He's got a bunch. I've got the appointments here basically for the. Well, no, this is pretty much all of them. He's announced 11 spots. He's got 13 he's still working on. He's got his chief of staff, which she doesn't even have to be confirmed, so she's in place. Okay. And that's pretty big news there. I don't know if you follow that or not. Susie Wiles, I guess she was big in DeSantis's campaigns, and he let her go, and then she's been working for Trump.
Yeah.
But the first woman chief of staff at the White House.
Right. Wow.
And I don't hear people excited about it.
Yeah, people don't seem excited about it. I guess he's only sexist when it fits a certain agenda.
Exactly.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the first big one, I guess, out of all the major cabinet is Marco Rubio.
I like that.
Do you?
I like Marco Rubio. I really do. I think he's fairly genuine. Obviously, he's still a politician. I think he
has he toned it down to you since 2016. He was such more of a rebel when he was running for president.
Yeah, but you kind of have to be, especially if you're trying to run against Trump. You better look like you better kind of stand out a little bit. I think he'll be all right.
I just question if he's become part of the establishment. Do you think he has, or do you think he still stands away from it?
I don't think he's as wrapped in as a lot of these other ones that are like career politicians. I think Rubio will be okay.
I do think
hopefully he proves me right. He could prove me wrong.
He's got to be a big diplomat. I mean, the Secretary of State. I mean, he's got to be hands-on, knowledgeable, and I definitely think he fits in with that. But that one's not too controversial.
No, it seems reasonable. I think he's a pretty level-headed guy. I think that one's going to be okay. I think it will be okay with Rubio.
I wonder who's going to take his place in the Senate. Of course, DeSantis is going to appoint him, so he can't appoint himself, I guess.
Guess not. Yeah, no, probably not. I don't know who's going to take his place. That's good. I don't know. I haven't even thought about that.
And that's all I've been thinking about. And they brought that up a lot on the articles I read. These are very selective to make sure they don't dilute what's going on. Because, I mean, pulling people out of the House, you got to make sure you're in a spot where you're pretty safe that a Republican's going to be able to get back in.
Exactly.
Or we could lose the majority in the House with that close.
Right.
Last I saw, it was only called technically for 218, which is where we need to be at. I saw one say 220 and another one say 222. But still, you don't want to lose those votes if you can, because there's a bunch of as Dan Bongino say it, there's no Democrats in Washington that are Republicans, but there's a lot of Republicans in Washington that are Democrats.
Right. Yeah, that's understand. Yeah, that's definitely the truth there. So yeah, they definitely have to be careful about that. Obviously, I'm sure they have a good advisory team.
I think he's been working on this for a long time.
Yeah.
I've heard this be in place for a while, and I heard the transition office in Washington is ticked off at him. Imagine that. There's actually this office that usually helps presidential candidates transition into government. And he told them, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
We're going to do it on our own. And they're not happy.
Yeah. Well, he's already been there. He doesn't, I mean, he probably needs like some of the updates with, some of the national security stuff that's going on. Hey, when you get in, these are some issues we're dealing with immediately that you need to be back. That stuff I get.
Right.
But as far as like the transition team, like we're not doing it your way anymore. That's the problem. That's why we don't need to transition. We need a transition, but not the one you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Is they would try to put the swamp people back in.
Right. That's what they want.
Pete Hegseth, is that how you say his name? Hegseth?
Something like that.
Defense. This was the verse.
Yeah, they were.
That's always controversial.
Yeah, they're not happy. But Elizabeth Warren is not happy about that one.
She was freaking out.
Yeah, because I guess he speaks on Fox News.
He was was
he a co-host or something on there?
Host. He was fill-in host and did a bunch of stuff on the weekends in Fox. And everybody's saying they picked somebody off the TV, but you brought it up a while ago. How about his military history?
Yeah, she didn't bring up his combat record. I think he spent 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years he's retired. Let's see. He's been with Fox for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
But he served in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a relatively outsider with no Pentagon or government experience outside of his military service.
What did you do, Elizabeth Warren? Insider trading. That's what you did.
They get up for that too. I thought it was just Pelosi.
If you look at her salary versus her net worth, it just the math doesn't math. It's very apparent. Yeah.
The guy that was here before, Fry Rice, same thing.
Yeah,
not as big, but he definitely came out a lot richer.
Yeah. Oh, they all do. Was it Elizabeth Warren that said she was Indian too? She claimed the Indian card, Squanto or whatever she thought she was.
Turned out nowhere close.
Yeah, nowhere close. Yeah. I'll make her do a 23andMe test.
Really?
I'm going to mail her one.
But, this place I'm reading off of is saying, relative outside with no Pentagon or government experience outside his military service, like that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, he's been in combat, though. He's probably had to deal with national security matters.
Can you imagine all these generals sitting at the Pentagon having to answer to a major?
Yeah, I know.
This is why I think Trump is trolling Washington. I mean, he's literally picking people just for two reasons. One, to make sure that he doesn't get the same swamp people in there, and also just kind of thumbing his nose at them. Because here's a major who actually served in combat going to be over the whole Department of Defense. I mean, DOD, Pentagon. And I don't know if you've seen already, there's big wigs at the Pentagon having secret meetings trying to figure out how they can make sure they don't have to basically, they don't say it like this, but basically not follow the Commander-in-Chief's orders. So
what a mess.
He's got to clean house.
Yeah, it's time to clean house. Listen, they've been clearly, if you look at our budget and our death clock and everything that's going on obviously something's been going wrong. We've been going the wrong way. So either go in and clean house or you keep letting everything go the way it is. So I don't know why people are so worried about cleaning, because people don't like change. Even the people at the highest levels don't want change because it takes money out of their pockets. Right. But the lower level people are just scared because they might lose their jobs, and it is what it is. But it needs to happen. I mean, we're going the wrong way as a country, and we've got to fit. And the only way you can start that is just start from the ground up and rebuild and start making immediate changes. So.
And I noticed that, what's the guy's name from Argentina? I can never say his name.
The president of Argentina?
Yeah, president of Argentina.
I don't know.
You hadn't heard about him? He got in last year. Javier Milei.
Okay. No, what about him?
He cut 50% of the government payroll in his first few months.
How's that country doing? Good?
They actually, it hurts some because when you have that many people working, they lose their jobs, you're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
But overall, it's been going pretty well. It's going to take a little time. When he first got in, things shot through the roof. That thing was going great. Then from what I saw, and I haven't researched it, but I think they had a lull because when people lose that much money, you're going to hit a recession.
Right, of course.
But he's transitioned them back into a free market, and he's doing well. He was at Mar-a-Lago or somewhere with Trump, and Trump said his favorite president was Javier.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's good though. Sometimes you just have to go in and rebuild. Sometimes things don't work and it gets too corrupt and there's too much going on that shouldn't be, and it's okay. That's okay to have to do that. Sometimes it's necessary, and I think because people just probably haven't seen that. I mean, when's the last time there was any kind of reform in government ever in our history? Really,
it's been a long time. I mean,
not in my lifetime, obviously.
And we'll get to Elon and Vivek here in a minute, but what they're doing has been tried before, by Reagan.
Yeah.
And the report was done, everything was ready to be made and was turned over to Congress, and nothing ever got done in the 80s with it.
Got it.
So that's one of the things we're worried about now, is to go through all this process. I mean, there's a law that says Trump has to spend any money that's been allocated to a certain project. So it's not like he can just go in and stop spending.
Right.
He does have discretionary spending he can put a stop to.
Right.
And literally, when he went in 2017, I noticed that this very short amount of time, the debt stopped growing and actually ticked back a little bit. It didn't last very long. But so he did something when he got in office with discretionary spending. But then it took off again. And when we hit COVID, it exploded. So it's not like Trump can just go in and stop spending the money that Congress just said spend.
Right.
Because they made it a law that he can't, which to me is a violation of the Constitution between separation of the different branches. But it's in there. So he's got to get through all that too. He's got so many roadblocks to get through.
Yeah. I mean, but he's taken the steps up front to make that happen, and we'll see where we land. But so far I'm optimistic. I like what he's doing. I like that he's getting prepped like way ahead of time, that he's been doing this. So when he gets in, he can just hit the ground running instead of getting in and then trying to figure everything out.
Yeah, he's going to have his whole government set up by the 20th.
Yeah, I love that.
And they should be able to approve most of those by the time he takes office, because the Congress gets back together, the 2nd or 3rd or 4th, 5th of January. It's like 2 weeks, because they have to sit. On the 6th, they have to sit and validate the election, which I've heard some conspiracy theories about that already. And I've seen video. I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't. 2004. You probably don't remember. How many House Representatives stood up to speak against the re-election of Bush, that the machines in Ohio were tampered with and the election numbers were not right.
Sound
familiar?
It does sound familiar, but I don't remember the 04 when I was a little young, and it wasn't really something that I paid attention to. So it happened then
too. Same thing happened in 2016. They tried to stand up and say the election wasn't valid.
I don't see anybody.
Same thing we did in 2020.
I don't see any of the higher ups saying that now, though, because he won by such a landslide. I don't see anybody really saying that. Now, some dummies out there.
The highest one in Congress again was House of Representatives, which the House of Representatives cannot do anything without a senator coming in with them.
Right.
And that's the big deal.
Yeah. I think they'll keep their mouths shut this time about this one, though, because if you look at Joe Biden's votes for his election versus this one, I think I would just let this one slide, since it's very, very apparent that you guys cheated in the last election. I'm going to be that guy. I'll be the conspiracy theorist.
15 million votes.
The most voted for president, even above Obama in 08.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Wes.
I know.
Say it. Say they cheated. I want to hear it. They had to have cheated. Based on statistics, they had to have cheated.
Cheated how? There's the question.
I'd take your pick. Are you looking to buy a home in the Myrtle Beach and surrounding areas? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. Wave Beach Realty has been around since 2013 and is a local family-owned company. We specialize in investment properties, single-family homes, multifamily, and condo-tels. Call Wave Beach Realty today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. You're listening to the Dollars and Cents Radio Show with Jonathan Edmond and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com.
This part of the show is brought to you by Clark Financial Coaching. Reach out to us at coachwesc@gmail.com. That's coachwesc@gmail.com to get a free consultation to help you get your financial picture in focus. Okay, I'm not saying they didn't cheat. Yeah, I definitely believe there was cheating done. I think the cheating done, though, also had a lot to do with those pre-votes. I think most of those 15 million votes that now have disappeared, quote unquote, were stuff like mail-in ballots and this 100% voting by nursing homes with mentally deficient patients. I mean, I think all that stuff played into that. They couldn't be done this time.
Yeah.
But even after that, even those so many more million votes ended up being in a lot of blue states that didn't really count towards the Electoral College.
Right.
So you get down to the swing states in 2020, then the cheating, I think, happened was ballot dumps in the middle of the night.
Right.
Which we did see again this time.
Yeah.
We've seen in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan in particular in the Senate races.
Yeah. As of today, what's still left to be called?
Well, now Pennsylvania's back up. Even though I did see a blast that maybe they've given it to the Republicans again. Let's look it up right quick. It was less than 0.5%, so it is a mandatory recount in that state. And I just read something before we went on the air saying that one local election board has defied the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania by counting votes that are not supposed to be voted. Some that are not being. Let's reset this map. Oh, that's the. There it goes. So I didn't have time to research that before we got on the air, but something's going on. Now, they've called it again for the Republicans. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm sure that we got court cases looming.
Right.
So this is 95% as of the 15th, which is today. He's up by 0.4 of a point. Literally about 34,000 votes. But that one thing I heard, and again, they had pulled this back out of being called, and now they're showing it called again. So McCormick should have it. So Republicans should go into the Senate with 53. The last I looked at the House races, there was still about 8 to be called there. Let's see what it says now. 219 basically have been called by the decision desk.
Okay.
So was safe there, should be safe there, but there are still 2, 3, 4 left to be called.
Got it. Okay.
And looks like those 4, one's Alaska, and last I looked at Alaska numbers, the Republican was winning there, and I don't see how he could not win there. But then again, yeah, he's up by 3%.
Got it. Okay.
So I don't think.
Yeah.
Now 3% sounds like a lot with all these other numbers, but literally we're talking about 11,000 votes.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's all relative.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
and the other 3, guess where? California.
Oh well, yeah, we're not worried about California. It is what it is.
And one has a Republican seated. Yeah, I'm not going to waste time here going through all these, but because they list them all, everybody who's won different seats. But so we should have at least 20, maybe 21. Could possibly get 22 by the end of it.
There we go.
So
I like it.
He's got enough. Again, though, you've got all those rhinos in the House of Representatives who we can't depend on their votes. And there's enough in the Senate to mess up the Senate majority if they decide to.
Right, yeah.
And one of them being here from the state.
I know.
And some people are saying now, too, some things Scott has done, some people are upset about.
Yeah. Yeah, Lindsey Graham's something else, huh?
Got to get primaried. Jonathan for Senate.
Oh. I don't
write
know.
in, guys. Let's get a write-in ballot going.
Yeah, I might be too radical. I mean, not radical, but I'm too
outspoken.
I'm too outspoken for them. I don't go along with norms. That's true. That's true.
You're not a billionaire.
He's got right. I was going to say he's got a lot more power and influence than I do. I'm sitting in a 10x10 studio right now.
Let's get back. Where's my
Oh yeah. So anyway, next pick. So we got Marco Rubio. We got the guy from Fox.
Here's the one. AG. Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, they
are having a fit.
Yeah.
So what's your initial take on that pick?
I mean, it's like a stab at them for sure. I mean, I think it's at first it was like, oh, that's a little caught me off guard a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. I mean, I think he'll be fine there. I mean, I know it's a controversial one though. It's a controversial one.
How about this problem he had with the underage issues?
Was that like proven though?
No, DOJ dropped it. In fact, what I read was the reason they dropped it is because he was actually being extorted. They were trying to make it out like he was doing something and trying to extort his family. But the big thing is this: what Warren's all upset about is there was a report due, an ethics report due out tomorrow. Yeah, and now that he's resigned, it's going to go away. And nobody's going to get to read it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that it's not true. I mean, listen, half of Hollywood and half of that same industry is doing the same thing. I'm not saying it's right, and he should be. None of them should be there if they're doing that.
If he did something, I don't want him there.
No, I wouldn't want him there.
But it's been nothing proven.
But I don't. Yeah, how do I? I don't know.
It's just been mudslung. It's like they always do.
Yeah.
they're so worried about him getting in there and prosecuting and going after their quote unquote political opponents. They might put them in jail. They may search stuff and find stuff. Wait a minute, that's been going on for 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they took FBI agents off of chasing pedophiles to go after J6ers.
Right.
And people who don't see that, it blows me away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You say, well, Trump's going to do this. Trump, what do you think Biden's been doing?
Yeah.
This whole time. And what I've heard out of Trump, he's literally not going to go after some list. Now, if people have done something wrong, yeah, they better be worried.
Right.
And I think Matt Gaetz is, again, not part of the establishment enough that he's going to say, screw it, I'm going to go do what I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, it was a controversial pick, but I'm okay with it. And,
I wonder how he's replaced, because obviously he's one of the 219, and I don't know if the governors of the state fill those spots or somebody in the district has to spend.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
I would think
works.
it'd have to be the district, maybe a special election.
Yeah, maybe.
But he must be in a strong region if they feel comfortable taking him out.
If they're fine pulling him like that. Yeah, so
but that's been the one. It's almost like, okay, so he threw out, who was first? Was it Pete? Was it the defense guy? Let me look down the list. He threw out Christine Nome, and we'll get to her in a minute.
Yeah.
So they were a little upset about that one, and then he threw out the defense, Pete Hegseth, I could say so.
Yeah.
They were really upset about it. How could they do this? And then
this was the cherry on top.
Then Matt Gaetz come out, and then Robert Kennedy.
Oh, they're mad at Tulsi too. But,
Tulsi. Yeah. So all these we're getting to. I mean, they're just.
I mean, they knew both of them were going to be in there. They can't be surprised.
So Matt Gaetz gets investigated by DOJ about all this stuff.
Yep.
And then they will never really come out and say they've cleared him. They just dropped the charges and dropped any investigation.
Right.
Which means there's nothing there.
Right.
But now he's going to be over that department.
Yeah.
So it's like
karma.
Karma, exactly.
Yeah,
same thing with Hicksman. That they are so worried. The generals are so worried because he's a major now going to come in and clean house.
Yeah. And I think it'll be fine.
I think it'll be fine. Great.
Yeah.
Next one on this list is the Secretary of Interior, Doug Burgum.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
He's the governor of North Dakota. He was actually running for vice president. He was on the vice president list. He's been a Trump supporter, and let's see, as governor, he promoted carbon capture technology to bring down greenhouse gases emissions from fossil and fuel production and other industrial activities. But as a Republican, I'm sure it wasn't something that was going to cripple industry like a lot of people want to do.
Right.
So that's probably why he picked him, because he's, okay, I'm willing to do something, but he also knows that there's both sides. And
right.
So the incoming Interior Secretary will be responsible for carrying out Trump's campaign promise to drill, baby, drill. So that one will be the one letting go of the permits and all.
Okay.
For those.
That'll be a day one thing.
I hope so.
Allergies. But
Bless you.
Thank you.
Allergy time.
Yep.
So that's the first four.
Okay. Yep.
And there's been some really big things in there. The next one listed, here's your guy. And it's the Health and Human Service Secretaries. Robert F. Kennedy, pounding your fist in the air.
Let's go.
This was your pick for president.
Yeah, I loved it. I love the guy. I think he's very smart. People try to give him, they say he's crazy and a vaccine denier and all this stuff. He's done a lot.
Vaccine denier?
No, he just, there's like 26 vaccines now, and when like you were growing up, there was probably like
3 or 4. Yeah,
and there's a lot of them that he just says we don't need, and they don't, and they kind of hide some of the studies, and they are immune from prosecution. These pharmaceutical industries, and there's a lot of corruption going on within that. And he's saying that some of these vaccines we don't need, they're unnecessary, and they have more harm than they do good. He's not against vaccines.
Science denier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look what they said about the COVID vaccine. I mean, come on.
What's wrong with the COVID vaccine?
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We'll have to get into another. We don't have enough time for that.
No. I did not take the vaccine. I will not be taking the vaccine. No. And it was not a vaccine. They literally changed the definition of vaccine during all that.
Right.
I have a snapshot of it in my files showing what a vaccine used to be.
Yeah.
And now what they call a vaccine. I mean,
it was a glorified flu shot. that wasn't tested.
I was going to say, I flu shot, I don't take the flu shot either.
I don't take the flu shot either. You're not going to inject me with the flu and tell me it's going to... I get the concept behind it. I get the concept behind it, but I'd rather just fight off the flu with my natural immunity.
It's never for the one that's out this year anyway. It's just they're taking a guess. And they
just pump it out because you know how much money they make off that flu vaccine?
And everybody's mad at insurance companies and all, but they got to pay for all this crap.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying insurance companies are all right too. We have a lot of things screwed up. So I'm excited because I do want to see him upstate. I know we're going to have probably one of our.
I know we're going to debate about the food part of it because you're not sold that our foods are as bad as what he's claiming. That we need to have government intervention.
The government intervention is my problem.
Yeah,
If people want to eat death, I mean, I don't want to.
They should put like the disclaimer on it, like they do on the cigarettes, like, "Hey, this McDonald's burger will cause cancer if you eat enough of them because of these 5 chemicals."
Well, it's like that movie. Did you ever see that documentary, Super Size?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was the stupidest. My wife watched it, and she's like, "Oh, you should watch this." I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because it'll show you. I already know what it'll do to you.
Yeah.
If you eat McDonald's 3 times a day, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's gonna kill you. Yeah.
And if you're just going to supersize because they ask you, I mean, that's don't get me started.
Well, I mean, that was obviously an over dramatized.
Yeah, but I still say, and we'll get into it on our podcast. I'm sure you'll have to tune in for that one. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's the idea of government. We look at government to fix something. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I get it. I just have a lot of faith in him, so I'm like, to me, he's not the government.
And see, I don't have faith in Trump. I don't have faith in it. I don't have faith in any of these people. I'm happy. I'm happy about him being there. I really am because there's so many things that are wrong. In that part of our government, FDA's got too much control over stuff. Again, see, they got too much control. I don't want to give them more.
Right.
The NIH, the CDC, see what they did to us during COVID. I mean, they just have too much power. So I'm happy. I want him to go in and, another one of those other.
Yeah. He's been against those entities for a long time. So it's to see him go in there. And
I see a pattern here.
Yeah, it's just karma coming back around for all
these people. Okay, we've had trouble with these things, so we're going to put it in here now.
Yeah, the people.
I hadn't seen this one. Doug Collins over the VA. I guess I did see it and just didn't pay much attention to it. Was he the one there before?
I don't know.
Secretary is responsible for care of. I'm not sure what he is. He did something in Trump last time. Staunch Trump supporter and frequent Fox News guest, served in Congress representing Georgia District 213 and 221. So he must have been an ally while he was when he was in office last time.
Got it.
Republican who served as his defense team during Trump's first Senate impeachment trial. Collins is an Air Force Reserve chaplain and served in Iraq. We all know what Trump feels about the VA.
Yeah.
And when he was in there last time, he did a lot of things that made the VA a lot better.
Yeah.
That's why it burns me up when I hear these people on the news saying, well, he doesn't like military people. He called them this and that. That's been debunked.
I know. It's
been debunked over and over again. But they still say it and they bring it up again.
I know.
Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security. What do you think of that one?
So I don't know a ton about her. I've heard some mixed reviews on this one from both sides.
Yeah, I have too. She's obviously the governor of South Dakota. Dakota's got a lot of...
Yeah, Dakota's coming in strong.
But she's had some issues, I think, also with Homeland Security. And I see that kind of what he's doing. He's putting people over charge of stuff that knows the issues with the agencies.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the way to go. If you've had to deal with them on the other side of it, maybe you're the person to know how to go and fix the issues. I don't know. Maybe that's the way to go.
She sent South Dakota National Guard troops to the southwest border at least 5 times during her governorship. Embracing Trump's Belarus rhetoric about the region. So again, I'm reading a website that's anti-Trump.
Right? Don't like. Yeah, they're not a fan, but that's okay.
She will probably she will have a broad mandate to enact the sweeping crackdown he promised on the campaign trail, including mass deportations, the hiring of more border agents, and construction of more detention facilities. She's on top of that.
I like it.
That means what's his name will fall into her, or he'll be working with her. Tom Homan.
Yeah. He's
not on this list. That was one of the other ones.
Yeah, he's a
bulldog.
Yeah, he is. No joke. He is.
You see the 60-minute interview from here. It's been recent.
I saw a couple clips of him floating around where he was talking.
He's just very almost arrogant and all. He's got one of those rough personalities.
Yeah, he's very rough.
And the lady's like, well, can we do something about these families being separated with deportations? He's like, yeah, we can deport them together.
Yeah.
It's like, he knew that was very much politically incorrect. He was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's the one who sat in Congress. You probably saw the clip with him at AOC, and he schooled AOC about what illegal immigration is and what to do. And then he told the senator, he's the one that talked her down. She was sitting in as the chair of this committee, and he was talking her down and finally said, "You work for me. I'm a taxpayer." Feedback this, so I guess. He was just on top of it.
He's a bulldog for sure. So that'll be an interesting one. But I'm sure he's going to solve the deportation or the immigration issue. It seems like he's going to be all over that,
and he'll be under Christy Nome, because there's a lot of stuff under Department of Homeland Security. I think
they handle a lot.
Coast Guard is under them now.
I think so. I think that's
and
all.
Obviously TSA. Hopefully she can do something to TSA. That's such a joke.
Yeah,
that is such a joke. There's no way they are doing any good at this point.
No, it's just a mess and a reason to delay flights at this point.
So EPA, Lee Zeldin, he's the one that almost won the governorship in New York, a Republican. Almost turned it, but Kathy Hochul beat him out in 2022. But very, very strong Republican. And another critic of the EPA, and now he's over the EPA.
There you go. Perfect.
Elise Stanfick, he's the one staunch supporter, defender of Israel, and critic of the United Nations, is now the United Nations ambassador.
So funny.
John Ratcliffe, CIA. Obviously, CIA is on the target list. Another one needing to be cleaned out.
Yep.
The FBI would fall into DOJ, which would fall under Matt Gaetz, I guess.
Yep.
So two's got to fill out, and I forget the name they're pushing around for the FBI agent. FBI over the FBI, but I heard this morning that he cannot appoint anybody or ask anybody to officially be it until the guy in there is fired or steps down. So he hasn't stepped down yet. And
he said Trump he wouldn't.
Trump can't fire him until January 20th. He will be fired on January 20th.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, I forget the name they've been pushing around for taking it over there, because it's going to be another one people don't like. But I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Look it up.
Yeah. There's a couple others, I think.
There's a couple others that's not on this. There's one more on this list, and I saved it till last on purpose. Let's see. I got defense. I've gone through all of them except this one. ODNI, Director of National Intelligence.
Isn't that Tulsi?
Tulsi.
I love that.
You know who handles the no-fly list?
No.
National Intelligence.
Oh, do they?
Well,
that would make the
CIA,
most sense.
She's to be CIA. All the alphabets will fall under her.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who put on the no-fly list.
That's right. Good.
So again,
she'll do a good job. Tulsi's awesome.
I've never agreed with all of her policies, but I've never not liked her. She was one Democrat. I told myself, even when she was in 2016, I said, I don't agree with a lot of things that she would do, but if I had to vote for Democrat, she would be the one.
Yeah,
she'd definitely be the one.
Yeah, she's very genuine too. That's what I like about her. Like she's not a politician. So I think her overseeing that will be very healthy for those departments. After they clean house and you have somebody like her overseeing it after the fact, I think that's a very good move.
This is their take on this website. The president-elect has had a notoriously strained and confrontational relationship with the intelligence community. Really. They're kind of mild there for this website.
Yeah,
describing it as as its members as part of the deep state that is out to destroy him. Trump will likely try to revamp the country's intelligence agency this term and push them even harder to replace people perceived as hostile to his political agenda with his own loyalties. So now they switched and went back.
Yeah,
but how can you say Tulsi is yes, she joined the MAGA movement, but she's not what they portray MAGA as being.
No.
Far from it.
Yeah,
that's for him, for her, for Bobby Kennedy, for Elon Musk.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten those two yet because they really haven't been appointed to anything in the government. So we have the Doge coming up, Department of Government Efficiency.
Right. Yep.
And again, another one of your favorite guys. You got a lot of favorites in this.
I know. See, listen, I struck gold with this election. Yeah, all my people I was talking about. I mean, unless if they found a spot for Joe Rogan, I'd really be
press secretary.
Yeah, he would love that. He would have a field day with. He's too busy making way too much money to do that. But if he wasn't, he would have a field day with that. Because he's the first person to call people out on BS as press secretary. That'd be a heck of a job for him.
Let's see if I can find the likely FBI before we get into the Doge coming up. Yeah, I don't see it right here. It's somebody, though, that James Comey was the old director.
Right, right.
Who's over it now?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Christopher Ray's.
Okay.
But I can't. I've heard the name come up several times, but I can't find it just glancing through here. So, but
yeah,
again, it's somebody that nobody likes. So I'm probably pretty good with it.
Yeah.
So you get down to, so Elon Musk is not going to be part of the government, quote unquote. He's going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, which, from what I'm understanding, is going to be a separate entity, almost like a watchdog.
Yeah, I like that.
And Vivek,
yeah,
Ramaswamy is going to be right there with him. And I saw that each of them are going to concentrate on two different areas. I think Ramaswamy is concentrating on DEI.
Yeah, I think so.
And Musk is going to be looking at the
just budget.
Did you see his ex post?
Which one?
With the oval in the Oval Office with the sink.
No, but I know what the sink's for. Like, I've seen the sink photos. Is it like Photoshopped?
Yeah, it's Photoshopped. Yeah. Because you know what he did with Twitter? He walked in the lobby with the sink.
Yeah, he really did that. Yeah, yeah.
So he did the same thing.
Yeah, everything but the kitchen sink. Yeah, yeah. He is so funny, man.
He said everything but the kitchen sink, or let that sink in?
Oh, that's right. Well, he
both
took
of them, really.
He did both. He took out everything but the kitchen sink when he took over Twitter. But yeah, let that sink in was also part of the joke. But so he's such a. But he's going to do good if anybody can figure out a budget and look at efficiency and make things, because that's what he's done with Tesla, man. There's no fat on Tesla. It's all slimmed. Everything's efficient. So if anybody can run that and help make us more efficient and maybe start making the budget go the other way and save us some money, it's going to be him. So I'm excited about that. That's one of the biggest things that they're going to do. So yeah, that's. So far, I'm enjoying these picks.
And there's more to come.
He's
still
Stay tuned.
They've got, what else they've got? He's got to pick. He's got to pick Department of Treasury.
Yep.
There's a lot of discussion about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big pick.
It is. Because Yellen's screwed things up.
Oh, got to go.
And the Secretary of Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, HUD. I've heard Ben Carson's name floated around because he was there before.
Yeah, that would be fine.
DOT, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, CEA. What is CEA? CEA is Chairman of the Economic Advisors. Ooh, can I put in for that job?
All right.
I showed you the link from the guy who's over it now.
Yeah.
He's
oh god,
he's got a PhD in theater and didn't know how the system worked. Small Business Administration, head of that one, administrator, director of the Office Management and Budget, and the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy. So he's got all those to fill. And then the last one is the Secretary of the Department of Education.
They might not have a Department of Education.
He's promised, hasn't he, to do away with it.
So I don't know. They'll have to appoint that.
Now, I don't think he'll do away with the department. The department's been around a long time. People keep saying it was from the 70s, but no, it was here before the 70s. It just was promoted to the cabinet level in the 70s and then given all this power. And he's literally talking about stripping all that power and sending it back to the states.
Which is fine.
I'm great with that. Have you seen the numbers? Have you ever paid attention to the numbers since the 1970s? We were one of the lowest per capita per student, paying per student, and for the nation. And our test scores were some of the highest in the world.
Yeah.
Ever since we've switched over, we have constantly spent more and more on students, and grades. The test scores have dropped until we're now 24th or 25th.
Oh yeah, we're a joke. We're like a laughing stock in terms of education in the world now.
Yeah. So it's not doing any good.
No.
And all these people are freaking out. You're just you're going to kill our public schools, blah, blah, blah. No, get it closer back to home.
Yeah.
And let them take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be fair to some of the places. Well, let the states worry about it.
Yeah.
Where it should be. There's nothing in the Constitution about education that should be a state's issue.
Right. Yeah. So, anyway, that about wraps that up. But so far, so good. We'll see how the rest of the picks. I'm really interested to see who goes to the Treasury, though. That is going to be an interesting one.
And Powell's already said he's not stepping down for the Fed. The Fed is a separate organization, so Trump literally cannot fire him.
Yeah.
And Powell said he's not stepping down.
Of course he's not.
So, but I do see Trump making his life painful.
Yeah.
So, anybody that hasn't been picked that you were looking forward to serving?
There's nobody that I can think of like offhand now, especially with what the picks that are left. I'm trying to rack my brain of who I'd want over the Treasury, and that would be the only one that I'd really think that I could try to think about, and then maybe the education one. I could probably rattle off some names, but offhand, there's nobody that I can think of right now. Like all the people I really wanted in are in. Some of the other picks are interesting picks, and I think they'll be okay or really good. There's nobody that I think is being left out. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to do anything with Nikki Haley, and I was kind of happy about that, actually.
Came out Nikki Haley and
there was one more that he was like, I'm not going to have them in. But I was fine with that.
Yeah, I was too. Oh, that Pence. Something took my tongue.
Yeah.
Pompeo?
Mike,
is it Pompeo?
Mike Pompeo?
Maybe it's him.
Well, they knew he wasn't going to come back.
The guy they're looking at Treasury, and I can't remember his name, I was trying to glance for it. He actually got appointed, I think, by Trump to one of the Federal Reserve banks, and they were upset about it because he didn't have, the credentials. He was very young. He's 32 years old, one of the youngest ever put there, but actually ended up being a huge asset during COVID and all. And they're saying that he may pick him. He's probably 40 years old now to head the Fed. And I think he's a free market economist, which would be a change for many years now that the Fed has been led by Keynesian and then MMT, which is modern monetary theory people, which is one of the stupidest economic theories.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about that, and it sounds horrible to me when you've described it.
Lutnick and Bassett, I think it's Bassett I'm thinking about, but Lutnick and Bassett are the top contenders at this point.
Okay.
I'd have to study more about either one of them. All right. Again, I think he's just trolling.
Yeah, but listen, it's good picks either way. I think there's a method to the madness. I think we're going to be okay, and I'm excited to see how he fills out the rest of this, and then we'll the ball's in his court January 20th.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right. Ready to end this one up?
Let's wrap it up.
Mortgage payment, insurance payments, credit card payments, they can be very overwhelming. Are you ready to take the time to get things under control? Then reach out to me at Clark Financial Coaching to see if we can get you started with a budget and then a vision for the future. Write me at coachwestc@gmail.com. That's coachwestc@gmail.com.
You're listening to the Dollars and Cents Radio Show with Jonathan Edmond, the conspiracy theorist, and Wes, the economist. Don't forget to send us your emails at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com, and please follow us on Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs, on Facebook at Dollars and Cents, and please listen to us on the podcast format on Spotify and Apple at Dollars and Cents Radio Show. Are you looking to buy a property in North or South Carolina and need financing? Call Motto Mortgage Coastal Pros today. They specialize in investment properties as well as condotels, DSCR loans, single family, and condo loans. If you're looking for competitive rates and you want to shop around and find the best rate for this market, give us a call today, 843-957-3872, 843-957-3872.
Want to know more about economics? Then look for my podcast, Econ Sense, at Apple and Spotify, or reach out to me at west.the.economist@gmail.com. It's west.the.economist@gmail.com.